Two Caribbean nations. One is building slowly and steadily through reform. The other is rising like a rocket on barrels of oil. But here's the real question. Who's more secure? And who's standing on a fault line? This isn't just a tale of growth. This is a battle of strategies, systems, and survival. Welcome to the ultimate economic face-off. Jamaica versus Guyana. Growth, rocket fuel versus engineered climb. Let's start with the headline figures. Guyana's GDP growth in 2023 was an eye-watering 38.4%. Jamaica's growth for the same year was a modest 2.9%. On the surface, Guyana looks unstoppable, but step back and you will see two completely different engines. Guyana's growth is oil-centric. Over 88% of its exports are crude petroleum. The economy is booming, yes, but almost entirely because of a single industry and a few multinational players like ExxonMobil. It's rapid, but reliant. Jamaica's growth is broad-based. It spans tourism, logistics, services, and light manufacturing. It's slower, but far more diversified. Its economy is like a carefully tended garden, not a wildfire. In short, Guyana is sprinting. Jamaica is building. Both are moving forward, but one is more likely to stumble if the road gets bumpy. Economic depth versus economic height. Now let's talk depth. How deep the foundation goes beneath the surface stats. Guyana has cash, but much of its infrastructure, workforce development, and governance systems are playing catch-up. Oil production surged before institutions could mature. There's a risk. The boom could outpace the country's ability to absorb and distribute it equitably. Jamaica, on the other hand, has spent a decade strengthening the bones of its economy: fiscal rules, public sector reform, and independent central banking. The growth may be smaller, but it's resting on strong ground. It's the difference between a skyscraper built overnight and a house built to weather storms. Fiscal strength, earned versus inherited advantage, here's where Jamaica commands real respect. In 2013, Jamaica's public debt stood at 144% of GDP. In 2024, that's down to 68.7%, with a legal mandate to fall below 60% by 2025-2028. That's not luck. That's policy, sacrifice, and reform. The Jamaican people carried the weight of tax reform, wage freezes, and tight spending controls. Now, they are seeing the payoff. Guyana, meanwhile, enjoys low public debt, currently around 27.5% of GDP. But this is fueled by oil inflows, not internal structural changes. Its fiscal surplus is impressive, but less battle-tested. If the oil dries up, or the price crashes, Guyana could find itself needing to do in 5 years what Jamaica did over 15. Employment, quality versus quantity. In 2024, Jamaica recorded its lowest unemployment rate ever, 3.5%. That's an extraordinary feat in a small tourism-dependent economy. But a large chunk of those jobs are in the informal sector. So, while more Jamaicans are working, many are still hustling without health benefits, pensions, or protections. Jamaica's youth unemployment rate is 11%, down from 32% in 2016. Guyana, by contrast, has seen growing concerns about youth unemployment, underemployment, and a mismatch between oil sector jobs and available skills. In 2021, youth unemployment was nearly 30%. That's dangerous in a booming economy. It creates inequality and unrest. Both countries face a challenge, creating jobs that are not just plenty, but meaningful. Inflation, currency, and cost of living. Here's where Jamaica flexes its maturity. Faced with global inflationary pressure post-COVID and during the Ukraine crisis, the Bank of Jamaica acted decisively, raising interest rates and using its inflation-targeting mandate. By mid-2024, inflation had returned to 4.4%, within target. Guyana, despite having more fiscal space, has struggled with localized inflation due to rapid demand, housing shortages, and surging development costs. With oil wealth, expectations grow quickly, and so do prices. The big difference? Jamaica has been tested by crisis. Guyana hasn't, yet. Governance and risk management. Let's not ignore the elephant in the room: governance. Jamaica has spent years building guardrails, like the Fiscal Council, a transparent budget process, and central bank independence. Guyana, on the other hand, is still building those systems while money floods in. There have been serious concerns about transparency in oil contracts, ExxonMobil's influence, environmental oversight, and political tensions between ethnic and geographic groups. A stable economy requires more than cash. It requires trust in the system. That's where Jamaica is quietly winning. Resilience versus fragility. Let's imagine a major crisis, a global oil crash, or a Category 5 hurricane. Guyana, heavily reliant on oil, could lose billions overnight and be forced into deep spending cuts. Its other industries aren't yet strong enough to soften that blow. Jamaica, while still vulnerable, especially to hurricanes and tourism downturns, has proven its resilience. It bounced back from COVID-19, absorbed Hurricane Beryl, and has institutional and social tools to respond quickly. Resilience isn't sexy, but it saves nations. What it all means, who's really winning, it depends on your timeline. In the short term, Guyana looks like a winner. The headlines are glowing. The growth is dazzling. In the long term, Jamaica may prove to be the more stable, inclusive, and sustainable model. It's not about who has more money. It's about who can manage wealth without breaking under pressure. And in that sense, Jamaica's slower, steadier rise may outlast Guyana's sudden surge. This isn't just a rivalry, it's a regional reality check. One country took the path of patience. The other is surfing a wave of wealth. But both are writing lessons the Caribbean can't afford to ignore. In Chapter 4 of our series, Oil versus Order, we flip the script. How can these two nations actually learn from each other? Can Guyana adopt Jamaica's discipline? Can Jamaica absorb Guyana's sense of urgency? What if the real win is in working together? Stay tuned. If you haven't already done so, please like this video and subscribe to our Impacting Jamaica channel today.